Here we go.
Ash and Zach are super smart. They went to college and learned a bunch of stuff. And Bo and Andrew didn't go to college because that's the way life goes sometimes. What happens when you put them together and you try to make them learn? Grab your friends, let's listen together on Get Dumped On an Info Dump podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to the second episode of Get Dumped On, the Infodump podcast, or maybe the first episode if we decide that the episode we recorded last week is garbage and shouldn't be published. This is the podcast where Ash and I, the dumpers, do an info dump upon Andrew and Bo, the dumpies, and then we riff on it and have a really good time. This week, or this episode, I'm not entirely sure what the release schedule of this is going to be yet. Ash is going to be talking about a topic near and dear to their heart, human evolution. So, take us away.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction. Yes, I'm going to be talking about human evolution today. I hope you guys are very excited. I'm excited to talk to you about it. This is the subject I got my master's degree in, so I'm full of knowledge, ready to dump it all over your sweet, sweet faces.
I hate all humans.
Just get ready for
honestly,
a real Cleveland steamer of
juicy
evolution.
info.
Yeah.
But before we start, can I give a little behind the scenes? Right before we did this episode,
Okay.
of how innocent Zach is. He messaged me asking if my evolution bit was actually a bit or not because he was
I
concerned.
don't know, man.
He messaged me, goes, "Hey, is it a bit?" I'm like, "It's a bit."
Wait, you did a bit? I want to do a bit.
No.
Well, last week he was all like, I don't believe in evolution. I'm a God-fearing man.
Oh, okay.
Still him.
So now you
Still
have to
him.
release last week's episode because
Oh, shoot. Oh,
Yeah,
God,
it
there's
wouldn't
lore.
make sense.
Yeah, it's true.
We have lore now.
I mean,
We're 2
I like-
episodes in. We got deep rich storylines here.
Yeah, there's backstories.
This
There's
is my second podcast I do, and I like listening to this one back than the other one.
thanks.
So,
Yeah.
That's
Thanks,
nice.
Bo.
Yeah.
All right. So to start, I want to just ask you guys if you have any frame of knowledge or what you even know about human evolution, if anything, like how our species got to be where we are on this planet. Because I learned
Hey.
everything about human evolution in college. So,
I live near the Smithsonian, and I've been there multiple times. I've seen the skulls.
uh-huh.
That's about it. I mean, you evolved to help yourself do things like fish. Some of them have little legs on them because they go out of the water every once in a while. Over millions of years, yada yada yada. But fish are not humans, so
Oh, yeah.
There we
General
go.
evolutionary theory. Yes. Yeah, that's good. Bo, do you have anything you would like to?
Yeah.
I knew
God.
that was coming.
Okay. Uh-huh. Yep.
Now, Bo, do you know
That's
that?
all- that's
did
all.
you know that the Catholic Church has taken the official stance that evolution is real and existed?
Did you also know I'm not Catholic?
That's
yeah.
very very
Mm.
insensitive of you, Zach.
Guess who got dumped on?
You just got Bo religion dumped. That you
Ba-ba-ba-ba.
just got bowed.
Indeed. Do you guys have any
Damn.
questions about human evolution? Like, at all? Are you at all interested or curious in the topic?
I just want to get dumped on, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. So
Like,
just
just throw this knowledge all
going
over
in with a pure heart and a clear mind.
Pure, clear mind, almost always. Yeah.
A cool head and a
Mhm.
clear mind.
And a
Well-
keen eye. So humans evolved, just broad strokes. Humans evolved from primates over millions of years. Over time, these little tiny animals that lived amongst the dinosaurs got bigger, and their eyes came together to have binocular vision, and they started to see color, and they started growing fingers and hands, and they lost their tails, and
They
they
didn't see
became
color
what?
before.
No, because most of them were nocturnal, and most nocturnal animals actually don't have color vision because they don't need it. So it just kind of falls off evolutionarily.
Interesting.
Yes, and color vision evolution in primates is really interesting because it has a lot of implications for like where to find food and like fruit. And then some primates are nocturnal, and so there's this whole like crazy evolutionary history. But we evolve color vision so we can see fruit. And they become what we call now as hominins. And hominins are essentially they are just the human evolutionary lineage. So the ancestral beings that are closely related to humans. So I'm going to probably say the word hominin a lot. So that's what I mean when I say that. HOMININ, hominin. Go ahead.
So are you saying people who are colorblind are not fully evolved?
That's not what I'm saying at all.
I think that's exactly
okay.
what Ash is saying.
Sounds like
Okay.
You are lesser of a person if you don't.
that's
seek
absolutely not correct.
that. You heard it
You're
here
just
first.
a very interesting branch of the evolutionary tree is the only thing that's happening there.
So what
And
is
also
two steps
get wrecked
back?
on.
Get wrecked on. What is 2 steps back from our current evolution of human?
2 steps back. I don't really know what that means.
Yeah, like I you know the chart of like all the like the monkey guy, and then he like slowly stands up, and then there's the last one who's like, "Hey, I'm a guy."
Yeah. I was actually
What's-
going to talk about that
what's-
image.
What's 2 steps back of that? Like, is there names for those, or is it just from bam
Oh.
bam like A to Z?
There's absolutely names. And this image, I'm so glad that you referenced this image because I did want to talk about it because it's so evocative in like when people think about human evolution, they think of this image. It's the one of like it starts as a chimpanzee, like slowly gets like stands up and starts to like walk.
Yeah, that one.
I can send it in the Discord.
There's also one if you Google human evolution and Google images, there's one with all the the guy with the monkey and then turning into the guy, and the last one is somebody dabbing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's how far in evolution we got. I also Googled evolution chart, and half of them are Pokemon.
Nice.
So,
Heck yeah.
So, well,
so-
the last question I asked before we get too far, the 2 steps back thing, is that what Bo is currently now?
Bo is a fully formed human, as crazy as that
Interesting.
sentiment is.
he just happens to be colorblind.
what's the name of it?
Now,
I'm not.
now
colorblind. I'm fully evolved.
could a hominin dab? Would a hominin be able to dab?
Yeah, I think a
Yeah.
hominin would be able to dab. I don't see any reason why hominins would not be able to dab.
Mhm.
Did they
Okay.
do things cool enough to justify dabbing?
I think so. I think.
Oh yeah,
heck
they
yeah.
were constantly doing rad shit. It
They were
was
like,
just
everything
every
they
day.
did was like the first thing, so it was like fucking crazy all the time.
That's
you
true.
know?
That's true. They
It's
like,
every
they
day,
like
bro.
walk 10 steps and they're like, bam, booyah.
To answer your question from before, Andrew, I think 2 steps back on that chart would be Homo erectus because they do
so
have
Bo
names.
is
They
Homo
have
erectus.
many. No.
No, I'm Bomo erectus.
Oh, bing, bing, bing,
Hobo
bing, bing, bing.
erectus.
I thought he
Oh,
needed
oh.
special pills to become Homo erectus.
Whoa, hey.
Oh,
So, hey,
whoa
Bo, if you ever
there.
become homeless, are you a hobo?
Oh my god.
Hey,
Jeez
the jokes
Louise.
are out.
Jeez
today.
Louise.
It's time for goofs. Hey.
Okay, so we're
but-
Homo sapiens, and then the one
We're-
before that is Homo Neanderthal, and that's
Well, they're not technically before us. They're more of a sister clade. So we don't think that Neanderthals are our direct relatives. They're just another
It's not a straight
branch
line.
on the evolutionary tree. And that's what this image portrays, right? That it's like a straight line from chimp to human. And like that's how humans evolved. And that's absolutely not correct. It couldn't be further from the truth because the way that evolution works is definitely not linear. It's just like a bunch of fucked up branches of a tree. It's like a bramble bush, just kind of all
So-
in there.
this is propaganda, which you're saying. We are being tricked by
Yeah.
big evolution to
This
think.
is big. Well, this would be big anti-evolution, right? Because they don't want you to know the truth about evolution.
Yeah, we're being tricked by someone
What truth? What truth?
to
to
think
not-
that this is a singular line.
Yeah. And even this idea that like it was a knuckle walking ancestor that stood up and then we walked is not what we think happened. What we think actually happened is that apes evolved in the trees, being arboreal, and then they dropped down from the trees and started walking. So like walking in between crops of groves, short distances to get fruit and things like that. So it's like completely opposite of what we think actually happened, but this is the first image that people think of when they think of evolution. And I think that that's sad.
Very sad.
But how do you? I mean, I get it. They're trying to portray something that is hard to portray. That's kind of like, that's what I do for work. I try to problem solve through processes. So this is the easiest way to say, hey, 5-year-old, here's the easiest way to know this.
That's
or
true.
see
And it
this.
seems like most of American education system, people are about as smart as a 5-year-old. So a lot of stuff gets reduced and it's incorrect.
That's horrifying, but true, because
Yeah.
like whenever I do stuff from work and I try to fix things, I have to write it as if I'm explaining it to a 5-year-old. So this
true.
makes sense to me, who also has a 5-year-old brain.
But the
Now-
one thing that, go ahead.
Would
I can see
you
colors.
could you do the rest of this episode in a Jeff Foxworthy voice?
You want me to do that?
Yeah, because of the
would love for
Are
you
You
to do that,
Smarter Than a
please.
Fifth Grader
I
show.
don't
Who
think
you
that
might
anyone
be a
needs
Homo
to do that.
erectus.
If you find yourself standing bipedally and making stone tools, you might be a Homo erectus.
So true. The one thing that image does touch upon is probably what I think is the most defining characteristic of what is a human, because in evolutionary biology, the lines between stuff are largely made up. They're just like stuff that a bunch of white guys decided. And so, like, what's the difference between an ape and a hominin is kind of nebulous. But for me, one of the most important characteristics is being bipedal. The fact that we can walk on two legs, upright, unassisted. And that is a feature of our hominin lineage going back so many million years. So let me hit you with a 2 dumps and a chump real quick.
Okay.
We're gonna start off with one this time. You guys ready?
For those who didn't listen to the
hold
previous
on,
episode,
hold on.
2 jumps into chump is 2 real things, 1 fake things. Me and Bo guess and get it wrong every time.
Yep.
I believe in
Yep.
you.
Yep.
Tradition.
Can I read the 2 dumps and a chump so I have something to do during this episode?
Sure. I'll send it to you.
Can I read them?
No.
How dare you?
Oh,
How
You can't
dare
read.
you?
You need to listen.
There is an order to these things.
Oh.
Okay, don't look at the message I
I
just
don't
said.
believe
Only
it.
Zach can look at the message I just said.
Okay.
Crap, I just looked at it.
What pops up?
Oh, no.
Oh.
It's okay.
Okay.
You can read it if that helps you.
Which of these is not a hominin? Sahelanthropus chadensis, Nutcracker
God,
Man,
We're getting this so
or
wrong.
I did-
Phocarctos
yep.
hookeri.
What is a hominin?
A hominin
We've
is
established this, sir.
humans and their
don't
ancestors.
listen very well.
Humans and their ancestors in the evolutionary lineage. So all of the forms, all of the animals that make up the human evolutionary lineage, those are hominins.
All
Our
right, Bo,
direct
sidebar.
ancestors.
What's a nutcracker?
Sidebar.
Sidebar.
Shut up.
Hey,
Shut up.
hey.
Shut up.
Basically, any animal that's capable
Shut
of
up.
jabbing.
No,
Shut
shut
up.
up.
Shut
It's
up.
we're
This
sidebar.
is dumb guy time. Okay, you smart people go
Yeah,
away.
yeah. Okay, you get your time.
Okay,
Just come
so
on,
there's
please.
there's 3 of them. The and then the Nutcracker
Philanthropist
Man.
chadensis.
Nutcracker Man. That sounds fake, but I think that she's trying to dupe us. But she's also probably like not duping us.
But I hate this game.
I know.
Or
I feel
Phocarctos hookeri.
And Phocarctos hookeri.
I-
Shut up.
I- I'm afraid, but I know I want to choose the Nutcracker Man.
Nutcracker.
Just
Yes, I
because.
want to choose Nutcracker too. Yeah.
So you think the Nutcracker Man
Hey.
is the
Oh.
lie?
Hold on. Is that what we're going with?
Oh my God! Did we flip a coin or
It's-
something at
but
this
it's-
point? Holy crap!
This is taking too
I
long.
mean-
Just it doesn't matter, you guys. It's
Nutcracker
okay.
Man.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes. Shh.
I'm gonna
Okay.
crack some.
Yeah,
there
let's
you
go
go,
Nutcracker.
Nutcracker Man. Totally
Yeah.
fake.
Yep. Nutcracker
Please say
Man.
that we're right.
Nutcracker
The
Man.
Nutcracker Man is actually the name of a fossil
God
that people
fucking
reference in
damn it.
paleoanthropology. It is the colloquial name of Paranthropus boisei, who is a
What was
hominin that we'll talk
Lucy's
about.
boyfriend or something with the fucking Nutcracker. Man?
No, it's a little later in time than Lucy, but the incorrect answer is actually Phocarctos hookeri, which is some other species of something that had a
Hooker's
funny
sea
name.
lion. It's a
Hooker
sea
sea
lion
lion.
from New Zealand.
So we just got duped, Bo.
You just got duped.
That
Yeah.
just happened.
Always getting duped.
You are
got
chumps.
chumped.
I
According
can't
to
wait
the-
for the
to the
time to
law.
redo an upper decker, and I just trick the shit out of both of you.
I'm excited
Yeah,
for it
because
as
that's
well.
the game, right? You guys
Um,
will get one of these one. Oh wait, no, you got one last time, didn't you? Got one
Yeah, I
of them.
think so.
Oh, got one.
We got it both
I think you
wrong
did.
last time.
Oh, I don't know. So, getting back to it,
I somehow feel dumber.
Sahelanthropus chadensis is actually one of the oldest evidences of bipedalism that we see in the evolutionary record. It's just one singular skull that we found from 6 to 7 million years ago that was found in Africa because hominins evolved in Africa. And you might ask, hey, if you only have a skull, how would you know that it walked upright and on 2 legs? And the answer is morphology, which just means the form of stuff. And so from this skull, we can see that the foramen magnum, which is the hole that your spinal cord comes out of, is directly underneath the head. So if you think about when you stand upright, your spinal cord comes directly out from under your head, right? It's like directly underneath it. Your neck is. You know?
I've never seen mine, but I believe you.
Well, you've looked in a mirror, haven't you?
I mean, yeah, but I'm looking at my face.
Yeah,
Okay, so if you look at
My
your
bad.
head, you see that your head is supported on top of your shoulders by this funny little meat tube, A meat tube is the thing that you breathe through, and if you get anything stuck in there, you have a really bad time. And so that's
You'll probably die.
That's called your neck. And so your neck attaches to your head.
The neck bone attaches to the head bone. Got it.
Directly.
That's all.
yep,
That's all. I
directly in a
I can
straight
think of
line.
that song.
But if you
One bone.
look at chimpanzees, their foramen magnum is moved back because their neck kind of comes out of their head at an angle because they're quadrupedal because they walk.
That makes sense. I'm looking
Of
at
our
I'm
legs.
looking at that picture right now. He looks a little more little stout.
Yeah, like if you
little
put
brick
it-
shit house.
yeah, exactly. And so by looking at features on the skull, we can tell that we think that they were probably bipedal. There's another really old one called Orantuganensis, and it's just a femur. And by looking at the femur, that's like 5 to 6 million years ago, we think that this species was bipedal as well because of the angle that the femur comes down. Because we are adapted so that our knees are directly below our hips, which is directly below our shoulders. So we're like, just a one straight line, a tall meat sack, just kind of ambling along. It's actually really terrible because it's really awful for our spines. It's really bad for our knees. It makes childbirth really hard, but it is the reason that we were able to exploit niches that needed to be filled and the reason that we survived as like a lineage and a species. I think it comes back to bipedalism. So I have
Listen, my
another
body
two
hurts a
dumps.
lot, so that makes sense.
It hurts, and that it's like we're really not supposed to be like that, but we are. We just do like that.
Before we go too far, so you said these bones are from 6 million years ago. I know nothing about bones, other than chicken wing bones.
You never watched
Hey.
that
we were-
great show Bones on
We were
Fox?
just
was it
talking
like,
last
hey,
week about how
bones?
chicken bones are hollow,
Um,
but our bones aren't.
Are not.
Yeah. So why do bones last 6 million years?
Great question. They're
That's a
not
great question.
actually bones.
I
They
could take
were
this one.
bones that have fossilized. Oh yes, please do.
Yeah.
So, they got covered in some crap, and then they just like saved them.
Well, yeah, basically, so what happens is that certain bones, if they are in the exact, basically, if they're in the exact right conditions, which is basically like immediately covered over by silt, all of the minerals in the soil and the rock, like around those bones, will essentially like go like leach into the bone, and they'll like leach into the bone and replace all of the minerals inside the bone, because your bone is basically just a living rock that is like that blood can come through, and so the stone will replace all of the minerals in the bone and turn it into rock, and then that is a fossil. And so fossils are great because they stick around forever because now it's a rock. And so it's not technically the bone anymore, it's the fossil of the bone. But the like process of fossil creation is essentially like an exact copy of the bone. So you can still like look at like everything. It's like the most perfect like 3D
Copy,
scan
yeah.
replica that you've ever seen.
Bo, does that check out? Bo's our resident fossil
Yeah,
expert.
yeah. As a bone guy, you can call me Boner. Checks
That's
out.
what I said your Call of Duty name should be.
Boner.
Boner.
No, it's just me. It just reminds me of meeting kids in middle school. It's like, oh, your name's Boner,
Oh.
Sorry.
Boner, Boner.
Oh my god, it's the pinnacle of comedy.
And then the other fun
Roasted.
thing about fossils is that
You
it's
almost
really
said
just
boners, didn't
Boners.
you? You so close.
The other,
You
the other
boners.
fun
Say
thing
boners.
about boners is that
They're hard,
ours
like
are the
fossils.
biggest. Actually, human boners are the biggest of all of the apes. So that's fun. If anyone ever
That's
says
true.
gorilla dick, like a gorilla dick is like 3 inches long.
It's
like,
really small.
maximum.
But yeah, I say that because that's what it's true.
But what I was gonna say is that like a lot of different minerals can turn into fossils. It's not just like a rock. And so like there are crystals and like opals and gems that can become fossils. And so like it would basically be there in Australia. It's just like lousy with opals, and a lot of the dinosaurs that lived in Australia became the fossils are opalized. So it's basically like here's a
Oh, yeah,
plesiosaur
those are cool.
vertebra, and it's made out of opal, and that's pretty
Okay, is
cool.
this the dinosaur episode or
Yeah, no, but we'll do one.
So
What's
what,
also-
what do we have to do to de-evolve?
I don't de-evolution is like
Would everyone like? I want to go back for all of us to be quadrupeds.
you want to
or
return
whatever.
to monkey?
I think that we should do that. How would I go about convincing the world to do that?
Find the woman who
Only
has the
thing-
shortest limbs you've ever seen.
I don't think that would work, honestly.
Don't make me say it. Don't make me say
I
it.
don't think that would work,
Don't
honestly.
Make me say it.
Because it's about how you use them, not their size. And you would need like 10 or 12 million years, I think.
Or you
I
could
got
get.
time. I got time. I don't
you
do a
could
lot of
get-
things.
I could do that.
I
I could do it in
You
a
could get Dennis
I could do
pencil it
it.
in.
de-evolution gun from the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Oh, there you go. That's it. That's the only way.
Turn
Another
everyone
cool
into a
thing about
Goomba.
fossils, specifically about human evolution fossils, is that not only does it preserve the outside of the bone, but the inside, so we can see exactly what their shape of their brains were. It's called an endocast, and it's essentially all of the hard bits in your brain fossilize around the brain, and then the brain disintegrates. So we have like a negative cast of brains from millions of years ago. And I think that's also pretty neat. And it's a really good way to kind of look at evolution, especially because we're so smart, you know?
Now I have a question.
Okay.
When I was a kid, I was learning about an animal that had, we were able to look at the casts of its brain and realize that its brain was like the size of a walnut. Was that like some animal or was that Bo?
It was me.
Boom,
It was me.
roasted.
It was me.
Burn. I'm going to edit that out. Cut that. I'm cutting that.
Nope.
No,
Gotta leave it in.
no,
Gotta leave it in.
no.
I'm
Cut
the
out the
editor. I
bullying, huh?
cut out
We do-
all of
we
my
do-
I'm gonna
jokes
make,
that
I'm
don't
gonna
land.
make references. I'm
Oh.
making references to it from now on throughout this entire episode.
Mhm.
Hey, you guys remember that
Okay.
one time that Zach made that joke about Bo just now?
You
That
can
could
cut
be
that too. It's
anything.
just
Yeah,
it's just a
even.
line. Down. Just cuts all the way down. Okay, I have another 2 jumps and a chump for you if you want.
If you but if you cut every about every joke, then the podcast is gonna be like 5 minutes. 'cause your jokes are-
Ow.
No one landed.
You can keep that
Keep
one.
that one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
keep
right.
that one.
I got another
Yeah.
2 jumps and a chump for you if you want it.
All right.
I mean, I don't.
So
but
we
yep.
we talked about some evolutionary disadvantages to bipedalism. You know, bad knees, bad back, makes childbirth awful and dangerous. But what are some evolutionary advantages to bipedalism? Is it A, bipedalism gave us juicy, thick asses, real thick badonkadonks. The juicy ass can be thanks to bipedalism. Bipedalism evolved, de-evolved, and re-evolved in the human lineage. That was B. Or C, Terminator walking allows us a huge evolutionary advantage when hunting and tracking.
It's
Okay,
it's
sidebar,
it's
sidebar,
okay. Sidebar. Hey, you here?
So have you ever seen a monkey butt? Because I have. They're
Yes. Yeah,
tiny.
it's a good
They're
butt.
tiny. They're super tiny.
Yeah.
So
Well, they remind me of
and
my
then-
butt because I have no butt.
Well,
That's
you
just-
have a
that's the
Hank Hill
thing.
ass, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
Like if
I-
a frog
yes.
stood up. I think that's a
Yeah.
Jeff Foxworthy joke.
So the that first one's got to be true because like I play a lot of hockey and my butt's
Mhm.
great. So
Oh,
It's
oh,
true.
oh,
It's
you
true.
brag.
I've
I
seen
got,
it.
that, I got that. I got that badonk.
You could
Hmm.
bounce a quarter off
Send
it.
a picture.
Yeah.
I need to see the picture. I need to see a picture.
I'll send it to you.
Okay,
In another
okay.
sidebar.
Back to what we're doing.
What was the
Yes.
second one?
Bipedalism evolved, de-evolved, and re-evolved within the human lineage.
No, that sounds.
I don't know what
true,
that
right?
means.
That's got to be it.
So
But
maybe?
it sounds smart. So it's
Okay,
it.
what's the third one?
That's
Third
it. That's one.
What's the
That's
third
one.
The third one is Terminator walking allows us a huge evolutionary advantage when hunting and tracking.
See, she hit us with these two.
That's a weird one.
These two
That's
ones right
weird
here.
because I would
A,
think like,
A and C are both
if
weird.
I'm hunting, I don't want to Terminator walk at somebody. I want to like hide.
Okay, I have something. I have something. Hear me out on this one. Okay, so both of those A and C sound ridiculous. What if she said B to fuck with us? And it's actually the
That's it
re-evolution,
happened the first
de-evolution.
time. So, but well,
It's bullshit. Oh crap! That's like putting C in multiple tests and realizing you're doing the same one over and over.
Yeah.
again. Okay.
well, it didn't work the
Mm.
first time, and it didn't work the last 2 times in the previous podcast. But it might work this time.
But it's gonna work this time. Okay,
Fool
cool.
me
All
once.
right, ready?
Shame on the question asker.
So
Fool
what's
me
your
twice.
answer?
Shame.
It's the second one.
It's the second one. We're
B,
doing
okay.
B.
The lie is B. You guys got it.
Yeah, we did it. We did it.
What-
Everyone get the horns.
What you said was exactly correct. The sentence bipedalism
Trying to trick
evolved,
us.
de-evolved, re-evolved is a nonsense sentence. It's a nonsense sentence. So I'm glad that you sussed that out.
It's a Zach sentence. Nonsense.
So you're saying if I'm hunting, I Terminator
Got
walk
him.
at people,
So that was one of the big
and I make
things.
the noise. Duh, 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 duh.
You don't have to
Yeah,
make the
pretty
noise
much.
if you don't
The
want.
noise-
It's probably
the
actually
noise-
better
no,
if you
CC
don't,
walk.
because
You have
he's
to
not
Ask
making the
deer
noise. You
where
know.
John Connor is.
But yeah, like the reason that we are so successful is that we're persistence hunters. So like a gazelle will shoot it with not shoot it, but throw a spear at it and injure it. It will get spooked. It will run as fast as it can away from us, like in the opposite direction, because that's what it would do when it was out running, like a cat, for instance. But humans will slow and steady wins the race, follow it, track it, find it, just kind of don't stop, and then wound it again. It'll run. It'll do that till it is exhausted. And we are not, because we didn't expend that much energy, because we were just kind of taking our slow time, like tracking it slowly, just kind of walking the path. And that's why humans were so successful. One of the reasons.
So it's the tortoise and the hare scenario.
Yeah, exactly. And we are the tortoise and we win.
And
When
we
you're-
also have hair.
It's true.
Oh,
There we go.
keep that
And
one.
when
Keep
when
that
you're walking
one.
on all fours,
cutting that
it's
joke.
like you can go pretty fast, but it takes a lot of energy, so it's hard to sustain it. But essentially, like when early humans were hunting on the savannas in Africa, it was basically like the gazelle is Sarah Connor, and the human is like the Terminator is every human who can just keep on going, never stop walking, and then they're just exhausted and stab them.
It, of course, didn't hurt that we had evolved at that time very good dexterity. Very, like, our brains were really big. We were really smart. We had lost all of our hair at that point, so we weren't, like, overheating. We could sweat. It was a confluence of things, but that is definitely one of them. One of the most human things that you can do, which is kind of funny, is if you, like, take your thumb and your pointer finger and you touch the tips of your fingers together, like where your nails are, like try to touch your nails together. Just being able to do that on every finger is such a feat of human evolution, because apes can't do that. They don't have that fine dexterity control in their fingers.
Absolutely.
And their
Stupid
thumbs are the
idiots.
wrong length.
Bunch of idiots.
And their fingers are too long because they're climbing all the time.
I had a friend in college who couldn't do
They're
that.
tiny
but,
penises as well.
I think that was because the doctors fucked up when they were being born.
What's her name?
Squished her head with the.
What's her social security number? Oh, gosh.
What's her name? Let's get her on the pod.
They
Dr.
squished her head with
We can ask her what
Dr.
it's like to be
Whatever.
non-evolved.
I'm not saying anyone's name on this podcast.
That's not even my own real name. So yeah, it turns out that being a human is fucking wild. And it's like, it's just like evolution, which is such small changes over time create such big changes. And in our case, they made us this like wicked, smart, weird, bipedal, gross ape who fancies himself, the apex predator and takes over the world.
So, question for the human evolution specialist. How do I get my
That's
bones
me,
to
yeah.
stop working? Because they hurt a lot.
That's the question for a doctor, because I would tell you that your bones are supposed to hurt because you're probably supposed to be dead by now.
Yeah, you're over 30,
Ah.
so you should have spouted
You
off
should just be dead.
7 kids and died by now.
Yeah.
But I only did 2.
I
Well,
can
Bo
get
can
over
die
that.
then.
Far behind.
Bo can die.
Oh,
Bo,
sweet.
get out of here.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Evolution is
I thought-
evolution basically is all about making sure you stay alive long enough to reproduce, and anything after that doesn't really matter.
Yeah, like survival of the fittest. The only thing that means is like who can fuck the most and have the most offspring.
looks like I'm winning on
You're
this.
technically
podcast.
winning.
You're,
Right now.
Yeah.
you're so fit.
Look at me go.
Are you
That
are
was,
you air
I
humping?
did not like that sound that just happened.
I feel like you're air humping.
I wasn't air humping. I was air flexing.
Oh.
Oh.
Give us a little
no,
air guitar.
No, no, no.
Ooh,
Oh,
evolution.
here it is.
Oh.
Squiddly now, squiddly doo,
Air solo. Air solo.
So now I'd like to kind of hit you with some, big players in evolutionary history, like the big hominins that a lot of people like to talk about. One of them you might heard of.
Jesus.
Have you ever heard of Lucy?
I heard of
I
Jesus.
referenced Lucy earlier.
Oh, you did? Oh, good job. Yes, Lucy is one of them.
I saw it at
Lucy-
Smithsonian last week when I was there with Ariel's family.
Oh, nice.
Why wasn't I invited?
Because
good.
you just sometimes it lost in the mail. Whatever.
So-
Damn mail. It gets worse all the time.
Lucy is an Australopithecus afarensis, which is a hominin
What'd
species
you just call me?
that evolved around 3.2 million years ago in what is now Ethiopia. Australopithecus afarensis are really cool because they're really like a mosaic species. They have a lot of ape traits, but they also have a lot of what we consider human traits. So they have big barrel chests, long arms, long fingers, adapted for climbing, but they're also bipedal with wide hips and that like bipedal stance. Their feet are like ours. So like if you look at an ape's foot, the big toe is separated from all the rest, kind of like our hands. But in our feet, that toe is in line with the rest of them. That helps us walk. That's one of the big evolutionary morphology things for bipedalism, is getting that big toe in line.
And their skin is
This
made out
was-
of colored ceramic tiles
That's not
What?
accurate. It's
Because-
not accurate.
because they're a mosaic species.
Oh, I get it.
Boo. Don't cut it. Don't cut it. Boo.
Cut it. Cut
Um,
it. Cut it.
Well, I
no,
think
no,
I'm
that one needs to
funny.
get cut.
They suspect that Lucy died falling out of a tree because
That
of
sucks.
they CT scanned her bones. They concluded that it was a female based on morphological traits. They CT scanned her bones, and she had like radial fractures in her arms, which are consistent with like when humans fall out of a tree. She had breakages in her legs. There's this image that people always show, and I think it's the funniest thing. And we'll have to post it for everybody listening at home. We'll post all of these images so you can follow along. Isn't that so good?
The
Just
motion
falling-
lines are where it's at.
That looks like the
Falling
worst
down.
anamorph.
Just anamorph into a plank.
This is somebody falling down out of a tree and then anamorphing into the floor and dying.
Not crumpling, just falling straight forward on your face. So good.
So how tall was Lucy? Like really short, right?
Yeah, only 3'4" or something like that, I think.
3'7". Could you imagine being 3'7"?
Very small.
That's like half
And
of
Lucy
me.
was probably still spending a lot of time in trees, gathering fruit, kind of doing that ambling bipedalism. It's not as evolved as ours. Like ours is more efficient, but they didn't need it to be because that's not what they were using it for. They weren't distance walking. Lucy wasn't Terminator walking. Lucy was holding fruit and walking between large like patches of trees and such.
It's like Mo from The Simpsons holding a knife in each hand, except it's fruit. And it's like, I gotta say, this is pretty great.
I knew it. I love it. Thanks for the Simpsons reference. I love it.
Simpsons did it.
I know exactly what
cut
he's
that.
talking
Cut that.
about.
You gotta cut that.
Another one of the
Yeah,
cool
cut it,
fossils
cut
that was a little bit later in time is called the Tong Child. It's an Australopithecus afarensis, or Africanus, I'm sorry, Australopithecus africanus from about 2.8 million years ago. And this is a juvenile skull, so it's like a little baby. They think it was only a couple years old, but with the way that ape childhood works, it was more equivalent to like a 5-year-old in like what we would think, but that's not important. What is important
Still counts as a child.
it does still count as a child. What is important is that it has a lot of interesting features, especially like we learned a lot about how hominins like grew up and like finding juvenile fossils. Yeah. It was really awesome. There's a lot of cool stuff I could talk about it. What I really want to talk about is the fact that they think it has puncture wounds from an eagle talons in its eye sockets.
That's pretty cool.
So a giant eagle picked this baby up by its face and probably ate it.
Nice. That see if
Hardcore.
I'm gonna go, that's how I want to go.
Getting picked up by the face by a gigantic eagle.
Something fucking cool, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah. I want to go out in
Yeah,
style,
getting torn
not
to shreds
lame.
by a pack of wild animals.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
To shreds.
Like,
You're
That
like,
was-
I like that thing. You fell out of a tree. Boring. Give me an eagle.
Yeah, something that people will be talking about in 3 million years.
Exactly.
If you,
Like, did you hear
if
about
you-
that 6'3" guy who got picked up by an eagle? and eaten?
Be a big fucking
cool.
eagle.
now that would be a big eagle. Yeah, that would be a feat. If you were an early human, that fate would be well within your reach because we are prey. We are prey. The only reason that we survive is because we're smart and we can make tools and we can band together. Without that, we're dead in the water.
We are cat food.
Yeah.
And have been cat food for the majority of our
Millions
lineage.
of years. Millions of years. Cats have wrecked our shit.
So you said we were prey, and now we do pray. Hashtag Jesus.
Yeah, you know,
Hashtag
you
Jesus.
know what? Because we
Yeah, hashtag
invented
we
guns.
guns.
We did
When
invent guns. We
Jesus
invented everything.
invented guns that turned the tide, and then they crucified him because he
See,
didn't
now,
have his
now,
gun on
now
him.
you guys are getting what I'm saying.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying, right? As a God-fearing man who believes this is all bullshit.
I fear
Yeah,
eagles.
Jesus
I don't
and
fear
guns is
God. I
where
fear
we're at.
If Jesus was
eagles.
armed, the Romans
if
would
God
have
is
never
an
gotten
eagle?
him.
If God was an eagle, I wanted to eat my face right now.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
There's some metaphor there. I'm not metaphorical enough to figure that out.
No, I want you to do it. You got this. Hey, you got it. Everyone give
Oh,
Zach
no,
an empty.
no.
Jeopardy
Come
music.
on, buddy.
Jeopardy
Hey,
music.
everyone cheer on
Mhm.
Zach.
Yeah, it's a really good metaphor. It's
Yeah,
really
it's really good.
it's
It's really good.
self-explanatory, really. And you don't. I don't think you need me to explain it to really
What
get
else
the,
can be said
Nah,
about
like,
such a perfect
here's the thing,
metaphor?
like, I was called a walnut brain earlier. I'm going to need you to explain this metaphor.
So speaking of being
Can
really
you
smart
prove
and
to me that you
understanding,
remember what the metaphor is?
speaking of being really smart and understanding metaphors, we are able to do that because of our increased brain size. That's one of the things that we see in the human evolutionary lineage is brains that go from small to really big. Our brains are fucking gigantic. And one of the ways that we got such a big brain was learning how to control fire and cooking our food, because that allowed us to get a lot more nutrition out of our food and then spend a lot more calories on being smart and not just surviving. And so our brains got really big. That kind of happened around the time of Homo erectus, is when we start to see a fully bipedal, big brained, like smart dude who they were the first ones to leave Africa. They were the first ones to use fire. Like Homo erectus were pretty cool.
Now, I've heard this before. Is this true that eating mushrooms helped a lot of brain activity in monkeys?
I have never heard that.
Like psilocybin mushrooms?
No, absolutely not.
Damn.
I've never heard of that.
I really want that to be true.
I taught primatology at a college level, and I never encountered a legitimate paper that said that. So to bring it back around to the beginning of the podcast, when I asked you about what is and isn't a hominin, I referenced the Nutcracker Man, which you thought was false, but it is actually true. But what's fun about the Nutcracker Man, this is my favorite hominin, by the way. It's Paranthropus boisei. They're a weird little lineage of Australopithecines, which are the lineage that Lucy is a part of. They got really...
What do I Google to see what a picture of these look like?
I think you can Google Nutcracker Man.
Wow, a bunch of nutcrackers and then this nutcracker man.
You see the skull? So it's got a big-ass sagittal crest. It's got big-ass jaw. It's got a big-ass teeth. It's got these big interior pillars at the front of its mouth that are bones supporting the maxillary teeth. And they were called the Nutcracker Man because when they were first found, people thought that these big jaws were used for cracking hard nuts and seeds, so they could get parts of the diet that other hominins couldn't. And so like that big crest on the top that you see is a chewing muscle attachment site. You see that in gorillas as well. They have these big ass muscles that need big attachment sites so that they can use them effectively. And that's what people called this Paranthropus boisei for a really long time, was the Nutcracker Man. But recent science, I think this was maybe less than 10 years ago that this study was done. They did carbon testing, C3 and C4 testing on the bones. Zach, do you want to give us a brief overview of C3 and C4 testing?
Basically, plants use two different methods to make food out of light. And depending on the plant, this is either C3 or C4. It's complicated. And when you eat those, the C3 and the C4 pathways kind of get stored in your bones. And you can look at as isotopes, and you can look at the isotopes to figure out if somebody was eating a lot of fruits or a lot of grasses based on which isotopes are present.
So they did that isotope testing here on Paranthropus boisei, and they found that they were expecting them to eat a lot of C3 foods. Those are like nuts, those are fruits, those are things you would find in a forest. But what actually is the case is that Paranthropus boisei was eating C4 foods. They were eating grasses, like large amounts of low quality food. So these big muscles weren't actually for like cracking hard nuts, but just for processing an insane amount of like grasses and seeds and roots and stuff. And so that's a fun example of how morphology can kind of lead you astray. Like if you just look at a form and are like, oh, some wild speculation, I think that's what this is. You can be literally exactly oppositely wrong. And we can learn that with science. And I think that that's pretty wild.
So what would you change this person's name to?
Cowman.
Mm-mm.
Cow
man.
man? Is that what you said?
Yeah, just constantly chewing on grass like a cow.
Cud chewer.
Grassy boy.
I always
Grassy boy.
just
The
call
grass
them
grazer.
my boysy eye, like my boysy eye. That's what I always call them.
I just want you guys to Google image search Nutcracker Man. There is a bunch of the Nutcracker Man. There's a few actual Nutcrackers, and there's one of a guy holding his nipples
In the tutu.
and yelling in the sky in the tutu.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Mm-hmm. So
Oh,
fun for all
oh.
our listeners at home.
Oh,
Something tells me that person eats all the same food that the Nutcracker Man.
Okay.
I think it's
Here's the thing, though.
one
You can
man
tell
nutcracker.
from the shadows that he's not touching his nipples. He's holding his hand out. in
He's doing a
front of his
ballet
body.
pose.
I don't know. It looks like nipple grabbing.
Also, because
How's your
the
depth
Nutcracker
perception?
is a ballet,
Oh wait, it's a 2D picture.
and it says one man Nutcracker. So it's a one man show of the Nutcracker.
more like nipple cracker.
Hey, let's go.
I have a one man nutcracker like every third time I sit down.
Have you guys?
Don't cut it.
Ew.
Don't cut it. Don't cut it. Don't cut it.
Do you want to call me the Nutcracker? Because I had two kids.
Oh, cut that. Oh
Had
God.
sex 2 times and has 2 kids.
No, keep it that.
Have you guys heard of Neanderthals?
You've called Bo that many times.
Yeah, it's true. I believe.
I'm sure that was. Zach.
I don't know. My insults aren't that. Don't have that many.
I feel like I've never called anyone a Neanderthal because that would be an insult to Neanderthals.
I've also
I have a
been
lot of respect for
corrected by
Neanderthals.
you when I say Neanderthal and you say Neanderthal.
It's generally pronounced Neanderthal because it's a German word.
Yeah, I call it Neander small.
They were actually
Hey.
very large.
Fuck.
They had big bones. They had
Neanderthal.
big,
Yeah,
big
doesn't
everything,
work.
really.
Doesn't work.
They were kind of short though.
That's true. They were a
They were
little
just
shorter than
stocky.
us.
They
They were
were
just very
wide.
stocky.
It was like Ben Swallow. It was a whole species of Ben Swallow.
So, what do you guys think when you hear the word Neanderthal? Neanderthal.
Neanderthal.
You did it. Oh
I
my
just
God.
wanted to be
I
inclusive
I
of
think,
Andrew.
most people
Andrew.
that I've met in the world are Neanderthals
Meaning that they're
because
dumb.
they're stupid
That
and I hate
is
them.
Mm.
that is the arguably one of the biggest pieces of propaganda to come out of big paleoanthropology is that Neanderthals are dumb. We actually think they were very smart. They had art and culture, and they made very sophisticated stone tools. They're called Mousterian tools. They had symbolism, like as far as we can tell in the evolutionary record, because one guy found them, saw that they were really big, and saw that it was like kind of like hunched over and like decrepit. And he was like, oh, these guys are dumb, stupid idiots who can't even fucking stand up straight. And it turns out that he had just found a very old man who a tribe had been taking care of for a long time, showing their emotional and not scientific, but at least capacity to care for others and kind of figure out, keeping this dude alive like well into his 50s. So that's fun. Some guy found it, was like, oh, this guy's obviously a big stupid idiot. And it turns out it was just a very old man.
But they didn't make iPhones.
They did not have
yeah, that's true.
iPhones.
Well, it took us a while to get there.
Yeah, we evolved 300,000 years ago in North Africa. Neanderthals were still around then. They only died out about 50,000 years ago. And then it took up until, 20 years ago to make an iPhone?
15
15?
years ago.
Hmm.
We didn't even start living in cities until 6,000 years ago. 8,000 years ago.
Yeah, on the-
Depends on your
Wait, what?
definition of cities.
How do you know
What was
that
the first
thing?
city?
Yeah.
Well, agriculture started around 10,000 years ago. That's like when we start to see agriculture happen, is in the Neolithic. And that's kind of when big cities started to happen, when people had enough food to sustain themselves.
Do you think the first city was named City? That's why we call them cities now.
The first
I
city is
think-
Ur, right? You are?
Or Uruk in Mesopotamia.
Uruk.
That's Lord of the Rings.
There's-
You're reading the wrong book.
Yeah.
Almost as if Tolkien took a lot of inspiration from historical words.
Mm.
Or they took it from
Oh,
Tolkien.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because
Oh,
that dude,
yeah.
that dude was smart as shit. He wrote a book.
So if you think about the time scale, like 60 billion years ago were dinosaurs. Fucking evolution happened up until 300,000 years ago when the first human comes on the scene. Homo sapiens, the Homo sapiens lineage continues to evolve, and we don't even become full humans for another fucking 100,000 years. It's crazy the amount of evolution that happens in a small time. And then now we're what we are. So we're just the tip of a pinky nail on the arm of evolution. Everything that we know and like all of this shit that we created has happened in the blink of an eye, evolutionarily speaking.
Agriculture is just a sort of weird experiment that's been going on for a little while.
And turns out that it's not great because
Says
a lot of
who?
people suffer.
Says who?
People,
Oh.
well, it's so they've done studies looking at skeletons of people pre-agricultural societies and post-agricultural societies. And the people in post-agricultural societies usually have a lot more trauma to their bones because they live a harder life. They die sooner. They have more nutritional deficiencies than people pre-agricultural. They also work a lot more for littler reward. It's like literally worse for you to be in an agricultural society. But capitalism's
Yeah, I
gonna
get
capitalize,
that.
you know?
Like my body hurts and I don't get enough
And I'm tired.
vitamins, so I get that. And I'm
Pretty
tired all
much.
the goddamn time.
Yep. Well, we could try out that hunter-gatherer lifestyle for a while.
It's not the same. We've
no,
completely
I
ruined
mean,
the
I'm
planet.
gonna go Terminator walking
Yeah,
people
yeah.
now. I'm just gonna try that.
I'm gonna be behind nature going. "Do, do, 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 do."
Everyone needs a hype man.
everyone
throw
just
like
needs-
a
everyone
stick
just
at some
needs-
like somebody like yeah. They're like, what the fuck are you doing? I'm like, dun, dun, dun,
In the
dun,
back,
dun.
like, did you get him?
Everyone just needs a lackey, a lackey walking 10 steps behind them, beatboxing a theme song.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'll be that guy.
Yeah.
I want to be that guy. I'm Andrew. I'm that guy.
All right.
Okay.
And yeah, and so even in the time that we've had to talk about human evolution, we have barely scratched the surface of all the things that we can learn.
Is it
But
too
I
far?
hope that I gave you a good overview of human evolution. How you got to be where you're sitting right now, hunched over in the dark in front of a computer.
But the thing is, you did. Like, I literally was just sitting and listening, enjoying listening. Like, I didn't really comment as much because I was just enjoying the conversation. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, I just realized that we're sitting in the dark. I should turn on the light in here.
We have our mood
I
lights.
learned that Bo is a Homo erectus.
Whoa.
He's a Homo sapiens.
A nut as a
Homo
as a-
sapien.
as a brain the brain the size of a nut.
Mm-hmm.
And Zach is not going to cut out any jokes.
Nope.
Oh, I'll leave you with one fun little tidbit if you'd like.
Yes, I do like.
Yes.
A lot of the times
Tidbits.
you'll hear Homo sapien, as a Homo sapien, or like Homo sapien, blah, blah, blah. That is technically incorrect. One individual person of our species is a Homo sapiens. It ends in an S. Homo sapiens.
So it's like Squirrely Dan talking.
Homo
Too
sapiens. That's what I appreciate
Sushis
about
and
Sue's
sashimis
answers.
And Homo sapiens.
Homo sapiens.
Homo sapiens.
Okay, that's not correct, though. Homo erectus. Ay.
Hmm.
Hey.
Ba-ba-ba-bow, ba-ba-ba-bow. Ba-ba-ba-bow. Okay, well, on that
Say
note,
goodbye.
that was it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Is this so? Since I introduced the episode, I should
Yeah, take us out.
play us out too. Hey, thanks
Send
for
us out,
listening.
man. Come on.
Yeah,
send us out.
This has been Get Dumped On, the Info Dump podcast. I hope that anyone out there in the internet who has been listening enjoyed the dumping experience. Follow us on social media, and
We have social media?
Social media.
rate and review us on iTunes.
Don't forget to
On
like and
Spotify.
subscribe.
These are all the things that you say, right?
Yeah.
Like, share, and
Oh, I don't know.
subscribe.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
you say our names goodbye too. Like, hey.
Yeah. I've been Zach.
I've been Ash.
Damn it! I thought I was gonna leave that.
So weird.
Is that what you wanted? I don't.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I want. That's what I wanted. That's what I thought we would do.
My name is Zach. Oh, God.
I've been also
Oh my God.
Zach.
Zach and
3 Zacks and an Ash today. Interesting.
Oh, well, get ready for the Zach attack.
Jay hates it.
Ooh.
Ash and Zach are super smart. They went to college and learned a bunch of stuff. And Bo and Andrew didn't go to college because that's the way life goes sometimes. What happens when you put them together and you try to make them learn? Grab your friends, let's listen together on Get Dumped On an Info Dump podcast.
Okay, bye. 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 Love you. Bye. Love you. Bye. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Do I stop recording now? Is this it?
Yeah.
Okay.